All right, we are live. I have no idea how to do this. Yeah. So as always, Mr. Ramanuj Mukherjee is a tad bit late. We'll figure out if he'll be joining us soon. And yeah, we've already got a particular gentleman saying he's excited. All right, we've got one gentleman. Hi. I guess I better start giving Ramanuj the calls that are always needed to remind him that he is supposed to log in. I mean, he's a busy guy, has a lot of. Yeah, I saw I sent you the link. No, on your WhatsApp itself. We've gone live, a bunch of people. Pardon? On which of your email ID? Sending you in like 30 seconds. Yeah, bye. I am supposed to send it to him on. I'm supposed to be sending him the link on email. Yeah. Please do bear with us. We'll hopefully make it worth your while. I have sent him the link. We've got a bunch of people. Okay, is my internet not good? Am I audible to everybody? All right, perfect. So Ramanuj should be joining us within maybe a minute or two. Okay, it's choppy. I guess I might have to switch my switch to like another part of my residence so that I can get a better network. Just bear with me while let me first get Ramanuj on board, and then I can kind of shift my networks. So I've been told that the video is coming off as blurred. Give me a moment. I'll try to like shift it, and hopefully the network will be a little better. Hi, Ramanuj, am I audible?
Yes, I can hear you. Hi.
Okay, fantastic. I thought I'll be a little adventurous and I'll try to kind of operate from a slightly worse internet connection from my office because that puts up for a fancier background rather than my own bedroom. But then people started commenting. The video was a little blurry, the audio is a little choppy. So I thought, to hell with aesthetics and let's just try to make it a little
Wrap it up, sure. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Great.
So it's a great pleasure to have the incredible Ramanuj Mukherjee with me, and this is the first time I've ever gone live. I mean, this is the first time I've with an actual intention gone on live. I was trying to test it out yesterday, and I did not know, like, what button does what. So I ended up going public with this fellow who was trying to help me set it up,
No
and
problem.
we had like 50 viewers who were trying to who were also part of my stupidity
No
trying to set
problem.
it up. Yeah, but then
No problem.
someone
How many people are viewing it now?
yeah, there are about 19 people right now, so I think that's a good start. I think a couple of people must have left because of, again, my tomfoolery over here. But in any case, let's get started. It for those few people who don't know him, although I am quite confident, Ramanuj, that a lot of people who are here, the lot of people who are my subscribers, they are there because of you guys, right? Because of you, because of Abhyuday, and because of the whole team at Lawsikho. Because I've got
I don't
so
know.
many.
You are very popular, man. Whenever we do any videos with you, thousands of people watch it. Your video on how lawyers should deal with police is very popular.
Yeah.
Like it has been watched some like I think 50,000 minutes or something.
As a
So
quite
it's
a bit. Huh? That's nice, dude.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it was a lot of fun to even shoot it with you guys. When we were there and we were recording it.
yeah.
The career as a criminal lawyer was also a lot of fun with your inputs as well as Harsh's. And I have had, Ramanuj, so many people telling me that they saw that video, either the one with career as a criminal lawyer, or the one of how to deal with the lawyer with the police as a lawyer, the one that I did with Abhyuday. And so
Yeah.
many people told me that they had so many takeaways from it. I am so glad. Like, I did not know, to be honest, I did not know that I had so much to offer. I thought that this is
No, no, no.
regular stuff that nobody will be interested in, and b, even if they're interested, it's not something that is such a big deal. It's like everyone should
The
be.
more regular stuff, the better, because for us, what is obvious, it is not obvious to all people, right? So
Yes.
when you write, when you share these things, when you blog about it or you talk about it on a video, it really resonates with people because they actually needed that information. For us, some things, we are
Yeah.
practicing something for a long time, it becomes very natural. For other people, it is revelation, right? So
Yeah.
definitely, I think that's what that's basic understanding of content, especially on online content, that you have to talk about what a lot of people want to know. And a lot of times, something as simple as what is article 14, what is um, freedom of, let's say, speech, or what is like minority institutions. I mean, these kind of concepts are not, people should be knowing, it's like fundamental rights, but nobody really knows, like beyond a few. Even a lot of lawyers do not know, maybe like they do not know the way they should know. And
Yeah.
when you talk about it, there is a wide audience. It's very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. And these are things that you and I have talked about on so many occasions. So this is more of, like a revision for me, because for like a lot of people who don't know, I have known Ramanuj for the past almost good 7 years. In fact, even the way that we kind of spoke for the first time is also very, very interesting. I don't even know if Ramanuj remembers it, because he does it with thousands and thousands of people. But the way we started first was when I sent out a small Facebook message to this guy who ran this, who wrote some interesting articles and what this startup company in the year 2013. In the year 2013, I messaged this fellow Ramanuj Mukherjee. I said, you do all these fancy things, and you're from a national law university. I don't, like, I'm not from an NLU, and I'm just about to step into my practice of law, and I don't know where to go, what to do, and how to go about it. And the one question that I asked was that I'm interested in joining a law firm, and what should I do? Should I try to join a tier one, a tier two, something like that? And then Ramanuj was nice enough to reply to this complete stranger, and give a few inputs and say all like a bunch of things. And of course, I mean, the law firm thing never panned out, and to a great extent, I'm quite happy that it never did, because the stage that I am at in life right now, I feel so much more grateful that I have experienced all these incredible things, which in all probability I would not have experienced if I had joined a law firm, right? If Because Ramanuj did practice in a law firm for a year, and
Yeah.
he had greater plans. He always does, right? There are always greater plans than the present moment, and that's what, like, one thing I love about you is the fact that you're never thinking about what is to be done right now. I think even in your organization, I think you're more of the vision, and Abhyuday is more of the execute, like the immediate execution, right? So you're always living in like 10 years from now, and Abhyuday is kind of running around trying
I
to.
wish I wish it was always like that. That sounds great for me, but unfortunately, reality is not as rosy. I have to do a lot of execution too every day.
I'm sure, I'm
So,
sure, but it's just that, like, I've always seen you kind of have that vision for the future, not
right,
just for
right,
your,
yeah.
not just for yourself, but like for all the other people around you, right? I
Right.
remember, like, there are so many. I mean, we could run this entire interview on just anecdotes, based on our conversation. Like, you don't even need to kind of talk. I can just, talk about the things that you have told me over the past several years. It's almost like a, and the other occasions that we've kind of done this, I've never really had the opportunity to really thank you for all that you have taught me, man. And that is the reason
No,
why
no, no.
the
Yeah.
few
It
people that.
vice versa. I am sure I have learned a lot from you as well, and it's always good to see. You are one of those people. If I share an idea, you actually go and implement, which is a brilliant thing about it. Because a lot of people ask me for advice, and very few actually apply it after taking the advice. So,
Yeah.
I keep saying this that everybody says, "Oh, give me some advice," and if you tell them, they'll be like, "Okay, sounds good, but too much work." You actually go and implement, which is brilliant, right?
I
So I
believe
remember there was a time when we discussed that you should start doing videos, and you
yeah.
started like you have done it like nobody else. I've said the same advice to probably every student or every person that I have mentored, but nobody has ever, not nobody, like few people implemented.
Yeah.
Like nobody has done it as well as you. So so
There's a
I'm glad.
long way to go, but I still must say that it still took me almost 2 years. Like, from the date that you and Abhyuday both started telling me this, it took me 2 years. Like, I remember Abhyuday saying, "Dude, do it in Hindi, just start, just do it, doesn't matter." And I said, "What do I know? What do I know?" And even today, like, whenever I put out a video, I have no clue. I'm like, what, so a lot of people are asking, which law schools did you go to? So Ramanuj went to National
And you just
University for Judicial Sciences, NUJS, Kolkata, which at any given day is either the first or the second or the third topmost college in the country. We've always got this competition among these top three about who is the top. But I've met a lot more people, and I can say NUJS top three definitely. I studied at a very, very less known University School of Law and Legal Studies at IP University, and it's also an up and coming law school. We've got a bunch of people who are now partners and senior associates in a lot of law firms. A lot of them are doing very, very well as independent counsels, especially because of the fact that a lot of them went into independent practice. So yeah, but let's try to kind of create something for these people over here, in terms of what, like, a couple of things that they would learn as well. Ramanuj, one thing that I've been grappling with for the past couple of weeks is, especially the past couple of weeks, is there's this ethical dilemma that I see a lot of lawyers deal with, and I don't want to be crass and just say that these lawyers are out here, my brethren, they're useless, they just out there to kind of rip clients and kind of extort as much money as possible, not do the work, and then go and take money from the other side, because I'm seeing a lot of that happening in the past couple of weeks. One thing is, of course, clients always think that their previous lawyer took money from the other side and then spoiled the case, but I can genuinely see things which are which, because of which I'm completely sure that this is happening. Yet
yeah,
I
no.
don't be a crass person and just say, there's a scum. I mean, there's a scum class in among the
No,
advocates.
no. I think, whenever something is a big trend, if we actually look, obviously you first get angry, but it makes sense for us to look beyond it as to why it's happening. And
Yes,
this is
exactly.
something that I have been always interested in to understand why it's happening. And I talk to a lot of lawyers across the country. I travel to different cities, big cities, small cities, and I interact with the lawyers wherever I go. And
Yeah.
what I see is this, okay? A lot of lawyers, when they are practicing, they themselves feel cheated, okay? So imagine you go to a law school or a law college, whatever, right? If you're going there for 3 years or 5 years, the basic expectation is that when you are going to graduate, you are going to graduate with some knowledge, right? And a lot of these colleges are charging an arm and leg, right? So it's like they're charging, let's say for 5 years, they are charging 20 lakhs, 30 lakhs, some are charging 10 lakhs, some are charging like at least 6, 7 lakhs, whatever, whoever can afford, they're going to those colleges. Right now, if you go to such a college and after you graduate, if you are not able to earn a basic living wage, I'm not talking about a good salary and all of that, not able to earn a basic wage, then obviously it's going to impact you. By the way, if today you go to uh, a CLAT coaching or law entrance coaching, right? And there will be a lot of kids, 50, 60 kids studying there to, eventually study at an NLU. If they don't get into NLU, they'll go to some private college or some other college, maybe GLC or so on, any other government law colleges anywhere, right? And if you ask them, why do you want to study law? First, they will say things like, oh, I want to make a difference and blah, blah, blah. But if you really press them a little and say, what is the truth? They'll say, I want to earn money. Okay. Yeah. So people are getting into law because they have heard that you can make good money as a lawyer, which is true. And also, this is how the CLAT coachings and law entrance coaching sell the whole idea that study law because you can earn 1 lakh rupees per month salary or whatever, right? If you go to a NLU, right? Now, if they didn't go to NLU, what they are thinking in their mind, okay, I can't earn 1 lakh a month, but I should be able to earn at least 30,000 a month, right? When I graduate. But they don't, right? So they graduate and they don't. A vast majority of law graduates have no marketable skills, right? You are also hiring sometimes law graduates. You would have seen that they are coming out of college without any skill whatsoever. They don't know what to do. Like even when I graduated from NUJS, I would say that, I was still working and trying to figure out, like I was handling my own clients already, right? I was working with real clients. I was really working on deals. I was working on, I was trying to draft contracts. So I at least learned something before I graduated. No thanks to the college, right? College will be teaching you some statutes, case law and statutes, right? It will teach you some, it's a good college. It will teach you some sections, their interpretation, some case laws, their discussions will be there in the class about the case laws and like, precedences and the legislative history and so on. But that does not prepare you to do real work. So if somebody comes and gives you the smallest work, that police took away my car, seized it because I was drunk driving or whatever, some reason I left it on the road, some police took it away and seized it. I need to get it out. Do you know where I have to go, what to do? They don't know. If something as simple as, which is nothing contentious at all, let's say there is something as basic as how to get a consent decree of divorce. Okay, that also, and what documents are needed in the court, what has to be done, what is the process like, people don't know. Okay, if it is a basic contract, okay, maybe it's a franchisee agreement or I don't know, I'm not talking about complicated shareholder agreement or anything, something very basic, like, maybe they don't know any of that, right? Maybe, maybe it's I don't know, like a non-disclosure agreement or
what about that
services agreement, bail application.
Which don't know. So what do you
correct. And people, it's not just them, like, so basically they are graduating like this and they're remaining like this for years. So if you go, like, it's crazy, like, just the other day, my sister is a lawyer here in Calcutta. She's dealing with a will's case. A lawyer has taken money, filed for probate, a will that has not had a date. Okay, so this is the situation of lawyers, and sometimes I think that, should I blame this lawyer, or is it the education system or the entire legal system that such a lawyer can exist without any kind of negative consequence?
I think it's a very interesting point that you made, because like on one hand you have the colleges, on the other hand you have the bar councils, right? The state bar councils as well as the Bar Council of India, neither of whom want to take any responsibility. And to whatever extent they do want to do it, they will only do it when the courts of law tell them that, see, there is this one miscreant lawyer who did this ABCD thing, and
correct,
there is no other situation, otherwise they will never move. I have seen hundreds of people file their complaints against against their
Lawyer.
advocates in the council. There is no accountability over there. If I
Mm.
if I, being a member of the bar, at any point of time in public, whenever I talk about more accountability of the bar, people are up at arms, because they imagine a future where every single litigant will go against them in the bar council.
Right.
What they don't understand is, because of this kind of a mindset, those few people
They're
who,
losing out on clients, by the way. So if
yeah,
today, if 100 people have matters, okay, only 10 of them will bring it to the legal system, 90 of them will
absolutely,
not go. Like 10 of the people who have really do or die situation come to a lawyer, right? Imagine that
absolutely,
you have such a, imagine like the situation where you are so scared of the doctor. If you have a fever, you will not go. Or if you have a problem, it's not good for the legal profession. Okay, so now that's the situation anyway. That's where what it has come to. Number one. Number two is that when somebody is coming out of this system and then realizing that I can't even earn 15,000 rupees, I am like at a mercy of a senior who's now completely has, like, I have to learn from that. Like, I have to go to a senior and the senior teaches me enough, and then the senior knows enough, then will teach you enough.
yeah,
That is good. Then you are going to be able to practice, and they're hoping that, okay, by doing this, okay, now I understand that I don't know enough, but I'll stick with the senior for 2 years, 3 years. Hopefully I'll learn enough to earn. And that also does not happen. Okay.
yeah,
So if you
yeah,
are thinking like you thought initially that, okay, I will go to a law school and I will learn there, and then you're thinking I'll learn from a senior, the 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 pace of learning is so slow. Okay, literally, like, we are able to teach somebody when you are teaching it systematically. We are able to teach people what they learn in 3 years from a senior in 3 months. And it is not about how good a trainer we are. It's about we are at least training. They are not even doing anything at all, right? Because a senior will, on an average, will give you 15 minutes a day to teach you, not more than that, especially
mm,
busy seniors. And if they are not busy, probably they don't know enough themselves. And a lot of times you are being hired as because they don't have to pay you much in the first place. If you're being paid 5,000, 8,000, a lot of places you are being paid nothing, zero. Just
yeah.
come and sit in our chamber. I am giving you a place to sit. That's all.
That's a
Okay,
privilege in itself. Yeah,
that's a privilege, because what option do you have, right? And lawyers are agreeing to that, and because they don't have any choice, they're hoping that maybe if I sit in that chamber and they give me some drafting, some affidavit, some form fill up, whatever, I will learn something. But this is not true, right? So after 2 3 years, same lawyers are like, by 3 saal ho gaya, I don't know anything, what to do?
yeah,
And so, when this is why a lot of, I believe that, a lot of people are desperate, and desperate people will do anything, right? So then
right,
when they are trying to earn money any which way, and they don't feel good at this point, right? They believe they have been cheated first by the university or college or whatever it is. They feel cheated. Imagine you went to a college, you paid a lot of money, you expected, when I graduate, I'll be able to earn at least a living wage. Forget like 1 lakh per month. At least can I earn 20, 25, 30,000? That will, be enough to have a living wage. Like, just how much maybe a vegetable vendor earns, right? Or
right,
even a Uber driver earns, or like a Zomato rider earns, right? You
yeah,
at least want to earn that much if you have studied law for 5 years or graduated and whatever, right? You don't. Then you are thinking that, okay, if I spend 3 years kind of assisting a lawyer, I will learn something, but you're learning so little that even after that you are not able to make a living. I'm talking about a large number of people. There are exceptions, right? But I'm not talking about the exception. There may be a percentage of people who are able to make a career out of this, or good lawyers, or people in the right places and so on. But that is not the case with the most. So you have already spent whatever, 4 lakh, 5 lakh, 10 lakh, 20 lakh, and then you are in this situation, right? A lot of people try to get out of this by getting a government job, maybe judiciary, maybe PSU, maybe some law officer, something, whatever they can get, right? But a lot of them are not able to. So what choice do they have? They don't see any way out, really, right? So many of them then end up doing these kind of things. What literally, if you see a large number of lawyers are acting like agents of other lawyers, because they don't know the work, how to do it. They are trying to act like agents. That okay, I get the matter, then give it to another lawyer. This is rife. Like you go to district courts, you go to whatever courts, very common situation. Then
Yeah.
there's a situation where these lawyers are pretending to be great lawyers, promising things that they cannot deliver on, with a single agenda that somehow I get the money out, right?
Yeah.
So this is happening, and all of us know these stories. We have seen our friends suffering, people suffering all the time, and
Yeah.
such lack of skills. They can't even write an application. They cannot even draft an FIR. Forget like anything, like nothing. Okay,
Yeah.
and this is the situation, and because of this, the entire, again, what happens? It's a cycle, right? So when people have this experience, then they go back and believe that don't go to lawyers, it's not a
Yeah.
good idea, and so on. Like it's a really bad situation. So I don't know, it's a it's not a good situation today for the legal profession.
It
But
is
this,
actually, it makes a lot of sense because I've forgotten count of the number of occasions that people have come to me and told me that they would never ever hire a lawyer for anything at all, right? And
yes,
it
yes,
would be only, again, it would be maybe a reference by a very close friend or a relative, and then that friend or relative does not know anything about what the friend who's a lawyer does, and so a consumer lawyer is being given a criminal matter, or a criminal lawyer is being given an NCLT matter, and again,
yeah, because they pretend to know everything, right? If you go
yeah,
to most lawyers, they
yeah,
believe that they have to take whatever comes so their way. So they'll pretend that if you go and tell them, can you do this venture capital agreement, they'll be like, yeah, 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 bring it to me, I'll do it. Then they'll
yeah,
completely screw it up. So
yeah,
because of that, so the legal market is a market in India where there is no trust. People have no faith, no trust, no confidence in any lawyers. They say anything. If you are in the today, if a doctor says you something, probably you will believe. But if a lawyer says something, you are super skeptical. Now, this
yeah,
is happening. This is not how it is in the US, for example. Okay, if a lawyer says something, probably you can trust the lawyer. Whatever he's saying, he's not going to bluff on your
yeah,
face, right? But
yeah,
here, people are thinking that lawyers are tricksters, lawyers are liars, like literally, like and it's a big fear. But this is actually where the opportunity lies for a lawyer who wants to be honest, who wants to build a brand, right? So if you have this is the other side, this is the brighter side. Like they say, every dark cloud has a bright side also.
yeah,
So the bright side here is that somebody who's operating on basis of trust and faith, or somebody who's actively trying to build a brand that I am upfront, I am honest, I'm transparent, this is how I deal with, then people have automatically a reason to go to him or her. Okay, like
yeah.
this happens all the time. Like this is what I teach to my students who are doing practice management courses, or a
I'm
practice
part of the course
development
as
course.
well. Yes, I'm part of the course as well. I signed up as well, and I can vouch for the fact that the sessions over there with you, with the other teachers over there, have been incredibly helpful. And another thing is, of course, I've met over the years that I've been associated with Lawsikho as a fan, as a student. I joined you briefly for a few days as well. All of those things. I have met incredible people, and it's such a it's not even a coincidence that the few good people, good lawyers that I know from outside, from other places, they also I end up meeting at Lawsikho again, because that's a like a common platform where people who have that hunger go, and people who already have that talent, that hunger, they also kind of want to congregate with other people, right? So I have this friend Bhavpreet, who I met at so I'm sure you must know about Center for
Yes,
Civil Society,
instantly.
right? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Center for Civil Society, right? So I had met Bhavpreet at an I-Policy camp of Center for Civil Society back in 2013, when I was a final year law student in GNLU, GNLU, right? So GNLU, they were holding a workshop. I went over there. Bhavpreet was also there. We stayed friends. He's been doing impeccable work at the Chandigarh High Court. And then, we met up we again, like we see each other at the law practice management course. And Bhavpreet also says, yes, I mean, I'm doing good, but I want to take it to the next level. And I said, that's the same thing for me as well. Ramanuj, moving on. So as
No,
a
just wanted to add one more thing, Amish, before I go,
yeah,
right? So So what happens here is that any lawyer who see what happens, just imagine it's any market, right? A market where there is a lot of distrust, there's a lot of fear people have. In such markets, the best thing you can do is that build your practice based on trust and honesty, because that is like viral, right? So if a lawyer, if a client deals with you, and even other lawyers will know this, that okay, Amish is somebody who's not fooling people. Amish is somebody, if you go to Amish, he will not lie to you, he will tell you the bad news, he will be very honest, he will be upfront about all the problems, he will give you a solution that is actually workable and not fantastic things, right?
Right.
That works like amazingly. Like, so okay, the whole world has gone one way, that people say that if I be honest, I will not survive in this market. And I say that if you'll not survive if you are dishonest. You'll have a survival only. Like, it'll be hand to
Yeah.
mouth. You'll always be hand to mouth. If you really want to build a great practice, you have to be honest so much that other people who are terrified of all the bad lawyers will sell you to their friends, their family. When they will think of a lawyer, that somebody will ask them, they'll take your name. And that is possible when you, and slowly it becomes like a surrounding sounding effect, like where everybody is talking about this. Like, a lot of people have benefited from you in the same circle, and then they are saying, yes, go there. If you look at it, like, we are operating in a similar kind of market, Amish, right? If you say
Yeah.
online courses, people have done all these kind of cheap nonsense online courses where they have got no value, where it was all on, the responsibility was entirely on them. They have to watch some video or read something. They got no live classes, no support, no push from the, it's like that. Like, if you are going to a gym, you know that you have to go to the gym. Nobody will call you and say, come to the gym, right? Why aren't
Right.
you coming to the gym? Come. They don't expect that. Now we do that in Lawsikho, right? I know that nobody does it in any online course. Nobody will call you and say, Amish, you signed up for this course, but for the last 15 days you haven't done any assignment, haven't come to a class. Please come, right? We do that for
Yeah.
our students, and then actually working with them and making sure, if somebody said at the time that, I want to achieve this goal, are you achieving this goal? So actually working. So we are doing the exact same thing, that where people expect the opposite from any online course, we are delivering something else. The same thing works for lawyers. People are expecting lawyers not to be honest, not to be transparent, and you make sure that people on every step experience transparency. On every step, they experience honesty. Every step, they experience a very upfront kind of dealing with them, so that they have no doubts, right? The price
Yeah.
that you're not charging different money to different everyone. Everybody knows that, okay, this is what he charges. This is what, and even if somebody richer comes, it's not like you're charging something more, right? So
Right.
having that uniform practice builds a brand. And if a lawyer wants to survive and do really well in this market, they have to build a brand, a recall
Yeah.
on this basis, that is a trustworthy lawyer, a good lawyer, will deliver
Hmm.
results. Right? That makes sense.
Fantastic. Yeah. Yeah. So as a follow up, so one great thing is, of course, if you want to make it big, if you want to do better, and not just survive but also thrive, you be authentic and build your brand. But looking at the other side of the table, if say I am a litigant, I am a person who has no idea about how to navigate with my case, right? And I feel that you have a very very different perspective from all other people, because you're almost like one of those conglomerates who have cases pan India, and because you're like so big. But it's because of the fact that you run a very very great initiative called Click Lawyer, right? Because of which you have to kind of coordinate with people all over the country, and of course the fact that you have dealt with lawyers all over the place. You've got you have helped people with their litigation matters. You've on several occasions told me that you have met people, hundreds of people everywhere, who have asked you for advice and whom you have helped hire lawyers, strategize
Yeah,
their
we
legal.
still help people hire lawyers. So what one thing we do is that, because of our large media presence, a lot of people come to us with queries, and then we direct those queries to our students preferably, but in a transparent way. We share the opportunity with our
Yeah.
students, and then our students can share their interest, and then we share this opportunity, share these things with the or potential client, and the potential chooses who they want to speak to. So we do this,
That's
and otherwise also we have done it like all the time, because because of
yeah.
our extensive blogging, YouTube channel, etc. People are coming to us all the time. So that's true.
Okay. So, but what I wanted to ask was, say I am a person who, okay, one option is of course approach Lawsikho and ask them, but I'm sure that you kind of do it at a personal level. You want to reach, you want to help, want to have a synergy. But say there is a person in some small, say, village or some small town, and there is
Hmm.
no access to any advocate elsewhere, right? As a litigant, as a client who wants to hire a decent lawyer, right? Do you think that there is anything that you can kind of, suggest to people who
Yeah,
might be
yeah.
watching, or what can you do to figure out whether your lawyer is decent or not, and maybe how to find out like a decent lawyer in your budget, and you can kind of so that you can be sure that this is not one lawyer is going to take you for a ride. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Correct. Absolutely. So number one is that when you are looking for clients, for lawyers, talk to your lawyer. And this is what I always say, that, talk, and don't talk to one lawyer. Okay. At least talk to 3, 4 lawyers if you have the resource and reach, right? And
Right.
find lawyers through recommendations. If somebody has dealt with a situation like this before, then they will know other lawyers and talk to those lawyers, and never trust a recommendation of a person who has not actually worked with that lawyer, right? If
Right.
somebody recommends a lawyer to you, first ask them that, were you client of this lawyer? What was your matter, right?
Yeah.
If they have never dealt with this lawyer, don't trust their recommendation. Number one.
Yeah.
Because people will recommend to you, right? If you come to
Yeah.
somebody else and say, they'll say, ha, talk to this lawyer, that lawyer, I know that friend, right?
Right.
That is
Yeah.
not working, right? Number two, you speak to the lawyer and you ask them a few steps ahead. Okay, what can happen in my matter? And try to see, are they willing to help you to understand? See, some lawyer who's operating on good principles will not mind answering questions for you on the first call without charging money, right?
Right.
On the first call, they'll try to explain to you, because a good lawyer understands that they need to sell themselves to you as well, right?
Right.
If they're not doing that, and if they're reluctant to do that, then I would be afraid that their customer service will also be like that, because they don't understand the importance of client delight, right? So
Right.
if somebody is having a call with you and making it a point to intelligently explain to you your matter, right? What is your situation, and what are the possible strategies that can be taken? Okay,
Yeah.
so that is a good sign, right? See, there are some different situations. Some things are, it's going to court and have to argue before the court, right? Some things are there that you go with the face value of the lawyer, because unfortunately in India the face value matters, or
Right.
before that court, right? So there is a advantage of sin, there's no doubt in that, right? So you have to figure out that what kind of senior advocates may have, if your matter is like that. Not all matters require that, so then you are going with junior lawyers, right? So
Yeah.
there you have to understand. See, first of all, you realize that a lot of lawyers will not be even drafting which is in your hand. Forget what is happening in the court is a different thing, right? Let's
Yeah.
say you are drafting a bail application. Now you can take a format and just fill out basic information, name, age, gender, address, without any other details, and
Yeah.
file it, which is what I would say. I don't know, like, I don't want to take a random percentage number, but let's just say like vast majority of lawyers do exactly that. Like, I would
Absolutely.
expect that, I have no actual data, but my suspicion is that like low single digit, I don't know, like less than 5% lawyers perhaps sit down and properly draft an bail application where they provide the real information about the complainant, okay?
Yeah.
About not the complainant, about the accused person who is seeking bail,
The whole details of the case,
applicant.
yeah, yeah, all of
Correct.
those things.
Actually giving that, okay, this person's antecedent is this, blah blah. They don't put no effort in drafting their application. They don't know how to draft also.
Yeah.
So you cannot go to those lawyers, right? Because they will jeopardize. There are situations I have seen that a senior lawyer not able to get bail, and a junior lawyer goes and gets a bail, because a junior lawyer is the first person who sits down and writes exactly what should be written in a bail application. It's
Yeah.
incredible how lousy bail applications get filed all the time. And by the
Yes.
way, judges these days read applications before they come to the court. If there is a properly written application, they will at least read and pay their mind to it before,
Absolutely.
rejecting it.
In fact, I would go a step ahead and say that nowadays, the kind of scenario that there is in the country, especially when it comes to bail matters being argued, right? And the paucity of time being there. The judges, in fact, from whatever bail orders I have been seeing in my matters, they ask their stenographer to reproduce the contentions of the written contentions of the counsels or whatever the bail application or the written submissions in the order itself, because they say, why do I bother with all of these things that they are arguing, right? Especially if they are complex matters
Correct.
with multiple facets to it. To hell with it, let my stenographer at least put down the submissions made, and then I will
Correct.
say what I want to in, say, maybe like 3 or 4 lines. And that is how precisely it is being done, and that is why drafting, of course, is very, very important, not just in civil laws, also in criminal laws, right?
It is shocking. A lot of lawyers will tell you drafting doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how, whatever. Like, how does it matter? Formality है, form fill up के जैसा एक template उठाओ, उसमें डाल दो और डाल दो. मतलब seriously.
Yeah. And
Okay,
this
and
is where precisely the client suffers, not just at the trial court level, but much more so at the higher courts, right? When you go to the high court, you go to the Supreme Court, they never even, I mean, if you go to the Supreme Court, I'm sure, I've seen you at the Supreme Court a couple of occasions. On a couple of occasions you filed writ petitions, and how it happens over there. The court does not even listen. The two judges on the division bench sitting over there, they have actually read the files. They don't want to listen to any of your nonsense, anyways. They are just going to look at the pleadings that you have made in your SLP, most of the time, and then they will go look at the original bail application, the original order, then the High Court application, the High Court order. That's all they look at, and they look at a few of your grounds. They're not going to listen to the counsel standing over there and saying, my lord, I am a poor person, please give me bail. Like, none of that, right? Dismissed, allowed, dismissed, allowed. That's what they do. And so you raise a very, very good point that I think another one or two things that I might add, because I have seen clients getting converted because of a couple of these practices, right? So I think one more thing you could do is, of course, client confidentiality is one aspect. But if you could, if as a litigant, if you can tell your lawyer, okay, you've told me that you've done these kind of matters, you've told me that you've explained me a couple of steps ahead as well. Could you also share with me a couple of the pleadings that you have done for other parties and other
this
matters?
may be too much for most people, but
No, no.
what I would say,
After redacting whatever is there, right? If you are there in my office, sure. So this is what I did very recently with a client who was kind of in two minds about hiring me for his divorce matter, and we were kind of haggling about the fees a little bit as well. And I said, all right, see, the fees that I'm quoting is what I'm going to quote, but let me just show you one small thing. And they did not ask about this, of course. I went back in my this thing, and one of the files that I was working on, this was this big bundle of files relating to just one matrimonial matter. And so I brought that entire file, I dumped it in front of them, and I said, this is one client, this is the kind of work that I'll be doing for you over the next 2-3 years, and if you expect me to work for any less than this amount, it is not going to work. You may help yourself to the applications that we filed, the multiple pleadings we have filed, the multiple courts we have approached. The moment they saw that, they were like, okay, so how do I transfer the money? How do I make the payment? That was the only question that was there.
that's
So
exactly that.
that is the perspective of the lawyer. But from that moment on, I thought to myself that if a client has a doubt, I would love to, after redacting, right? After redacting, of course, like showing to the client, if they're in front of me, I can show them the file. It's just not a big deal. It's not that crazy a breach of privacy that, I'm just like showing the names and I'm showing the volume and I'm showing a couple of the applications. They're not going to glean anything out of it. But, these are a couple of other things. And of course, one thing that you said that made a lot of sense was client delight, right? And the way you talked about how if the lawyer is actually taking a little bit of pain and effort to explain to the client what all is supposed to happen, what could go right, what could go wrong, what are the chances, all of those things. Of course, it is very, very time consuming. I, as a lawyer, can vouch for the fact that preparation and explaining to the client
A
sometimes.
smart lawyer will have easy ways to do it. So I'll give you an example, right? So imagine like one of my students, and he's doing a lot of divorce matters, right? So he has produced a book of how to collect evidence in divorce matters to reduce his effort. So if a client comes in, he gives this free copy of one book. That this is a handbook. It's not published or anything. It's like his in-house production, right? He gives it. Let's go follow this handbook. Imagine the value add, and it's not taking time, right? Number one. Number two, if they are smart, they will have some. Instead of sitting with you and asking you dozens of questions, they'll say, okay, before you come, you fill up this questionnaire, and the questionnaire is prepared in such a way that while answering, you'll have to properly give information and you will structure the information. Because a lot of times when you are a lawyer and you are dealing with, obviously clients who do not have their thoughts clear, they want to tell their entire life sob story and their backstory to you. And they're like, if you don't know this, how can you do my matter? Right? So you cut that down and say that, boss, please fill up this form and come, and then I'll listen to you. Now I have read it. You start telling me the story. I'll know that story. That's okay. Now tell me this, tell me this. So the interviewing process becomes better. Now you see what's happening. Like if I'm a client and I'm going to 4 lawyers, out of that, 1 lawyer has given me a form, which I'm filling up. Now, next time you don't even have to ask me for my address and my father's name and my PAN card detail. Maybe it is one form, right, where you have collected all of these things. Now, when you are dealing with people like this, you are saving their time. When you are efficient, you don't only save your time, you also save their time. Right? Maybe you have a junior who's interviewing people, or a paralegal, not even a lawyer. In India, lawyers are so cheap to hire that you don't want to hire anybody else, because junior lawyers are literally working with people for 5,000 per month. So
I think we should start calling them para lawyers now. Of course, also
no, it's sad. So we should not say anything bad. It's like quite a sad situation. So what is to be done here is that, but you imagine that you have junior lawyers who are interviewing people, hearing all those sob stories, culling out the real information, then sending you for a second round interview. So the client is also satisfied that they have told their story to someone, but not at the cost of time.
I am doing as well. But it's interesting. I actually did like a sort of a couple of things like that myself. And again, because of necessity for my own convenience, right? So every time one person would call me up and say that my wife left me, or that my wife threatened me with false cases, or I think my wife might leave me and file a false case. So what are the things that I should know about? And every single time a person like that would call me up, that I would know that this is a two hours of my life gone, because I'm going to be explaining entirety, all of this that's going to happen. So very recently, just about a week back, this friend of mine called me up and said, I'm about to get engaged. Is there anything that I should be afraid of, maybe like 1 year, 2 years, 3 years down the line? Because of the fact that he had read the title of just the title of this one book, who's, like I put up on Amazon and I put the title cover. So the guy read that one several months ago, then called me up and asked me, like, what should I know? I said, God damn it, read that book that I wrote for precisely this purpose. And now every time that someone calls and says, my wife might do this, or I am getting married, what are the things I should be careful about? I just, send them the link of that book, right? And I tell them, just read this book and then come up with any follow-up questions that you have. So a lot of them, they don't have any follow-up questions because of the fact that I wrote a 35-page PDF.
Exactly. And then what is happening is that you are building trust with them, because they can see that you have already answered their questions. You have already thought of the problems they'll face, and you have expertise. Your expertise is unquestionably visible, right? So nobody can have any doubt about, they will be more or less satisfied about what you're saying, and that you have the right kind of expertise. And this is the other thing. So if you are trying to hire a lawyer and they are claiming that they are good at, let's say, divorce matters, have they been writing articles about divorce law? Have they been publishing? If you Google them, do you see anything related to that area of expertise? Are they tweeting about it, or they doing YouTube videos or something, right? So if you see nothing and there is complete silence, probably somebody is talking a lot about, let's say, CBI cases, then there's a chance that they might be knowing more about that, right? So that's very important to think about.
Yeah. Okay. So we don't have a lot of time. We have like another 10, 12 minutes, because I intended it to be a 1 hour session. One thing that, I don't think a lot of people talk. I mean, you host a lot of, online lectures. You've taught a lot to people. You talk a lot about law and branding. But one thing that I don't even know how to kind of start this conversation with you, but I know that the moment I mention it, you will pick up and talk about exactly what I want to ask you.
Hmm.
Like how to kind of have that spirit of that entrepreneurial drive, right? Because I've seen it like among not just entrepreneur friends that I have who are doing well in business, but even lawyer friends of mine, advocates or people who are running law firms, right? um I see this huge difference, and the only difference that is there is someone who wants it safe versus someone who kind of wants to take charge and kind of go ahead with it, right? Now of course you have been at the forefront of even those people when you kind of beckon them even further and say, all right, these are some new unseen horizons that we can see. Okay, so it's a two-part question now. While I'm kind of processing this question, one
Hmm.
is what are the new avenues that you are looking forward to in the near future, right? For maybe Lawsikho, for maybe Super Lawyer or Click Lawyer or the other initiatives that you have, or something new that you're coming up with. And second, what could someone else do to kind of have as a lawyer, to have that kind of an entrepreneurial drive to push themselves, and how do you kind of help people deal with fear? How do you help them figure out how to deal with the apprehensions of trying to kind of start something new in life, be it practice, be it a new venture, be it a niche practice? What are your thoughts on that?
So, question number one, let's deal with that. So, question number one is that, what are the things that I am looking forward to Horizon? So, one thing I believe, like, I'm really trying to explore this, and I think this is huge that it's going to happen, is that post pandemic, now there is a talent arbitrage opportunity. Okay, what is talent arbitrage? So, for example, you sitting in Delhi will soon be competing because of virtual hearings and people getting comfortable with working people without seeing them. This is a huge mindset shift, right? So, for
Yeah.
example, I am trying to make my company. So, I had a large office in Delhi, one in Calcutta, but now I'm trying to take my company entirely online. Why? Because that opens up an opportunity for me to tap into talent not only in Delhi and Calcutta, but anywhere in the world, right? So, I was already doing that. Half my company was working from home. Now, they're everything working from home and only looking at the performance and not looking at the fact that you came to office and sat there, right? So it's game
Right.
changer. Now, this is happening across the world. People are now willing to hire from anywhere. So, if it is not in the office, then how does it matter whether you are sitting in San Francisco or sitting in Calcutta or Delhi or Bombay or wherever, right? Or even a small city anywhere. And
Yeah.
this is the future, right? This is the future of workplaces. Even the recently Cyril Shroff has said this, that work from home is the future. We have to respond to it and so on. So even I think this is very interesting, and I am currently trying to work more with US universities, US law firms. We are consulting a lot of US law firms in New York. What do we have to train people here in India that they can work there? Because you understand the situation that even an Indian lawyer starts assisting a lawyer in New York, where the lowest salary is over $100,000 for a lawyer, right?
Yeah.
$100,000. So even if they pay 1/10 of that, which is $10,000, that is 7 lakhs here. You will
Yeah.
be able to hire a very smart Indian lawyer to work as much as somebody does in New York. Sure, they will need some special training. So maybe there are areas we identified like trademark filing, patent related, so patent prosecution, then immigration law. So we have identified that, okay, if we can teach people USPTO, like US patent and trademark office work in India, then they can work with New York law firms, Texas law firms sitting in India, work from home
Yeah.
basis, and earn a lot more than here. Like they will earn more than people earning from top law firms in India, literally. So
Right.
Indian talent going global, and I believe in this because this has happened in engineering, this has happened in AI, ML, data science. So artificial intelligence developers, machine learning developers, blockchain developers, they're all working globally. They're not working with Indian companies only, right? And it's a great opportunity for even those law firms, global companies to hire Indians like this. Earlier, they had to outsource. Outsourcing was tricky because you have to set up a big institution here in India. For that, they have to invest money to set
Yeah.
up an institute. So if you today look at big New York law firms, they all have Indian lawyers working for them, but through a some kind of a knowledge center, KPO, LPO, etc. Right?
Yeah.
But now
Yeah.
there is an opportunity that even smaller law firms and smaller lawyers, everybody can start hiring Indian talent, and this is going to happen. And we plan to be at the top of this trend and push this trend into happening. So we are already talking to law firm partners in New York on making this happen. The other thing which will happen, I believe, that people from smaller cities in India will be at a better position to compete with the big city law firms. So there are people right now building law firms in cities like Indore, I don't know, Coimbatore, and like three
Sure.
tier, four tier, say tier two cities, Jaipur. That would
Yeah.
be like as good as a tier two law firm, tier three law firm in Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore today, because and clients will be happy to work with them. Maybe they will also have one or two lawyers in the big city, but there will be a huge backend in smaller cities. So even if you're Amish building a law firms, you should probably start hiring people in smaller cities, tier two, tier three cities, working remotely,
I've,
preparing
I've
your draft.
Yeah, I've already. So I have one associate who used to be in Delhi, but he was finding the cost of living a little too high, so he shifted
Exactly.
back to his hometown in Uttar Pradesh. And we have a very effective arrangement. In fact, he is the lead on all my matters, right? So my office scans and sends him all the documents. He's there doing the work, and he has a very very flexible schedule as well. So he's working 7 days a week. But whenever he wants to take 6, 7 hours, 8 hours off, I have no problem with him taking those hours off, because of the fact that at the end of the day he is a fellow who kind of takes initiative by himself,
Correct.
and he's able to pull you know him, right? You've met him
Exactly.
fully.
So what I'm trying to tell you, Amish, if you are paying someone 15,000, 20,000 rupees in Delhi, it's very difficult for a young
Yeah.
lawyer to survive at that. But somebody is, let's say, living in Bulandshahar, or somebody is living in like I don't know, Agra, right? Or even I don't know, other smaller towns or villages for that matter, where there is good internet. It is a decent salary. Like you can work with that salary, right?
Yeah.
And it's a substantial, it's a good job in a place like that. So like people, we have seen outsourcing happening from US, UK, Europe to India. We'll see outsourcing happening from Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore, Calcutta to smaller places, places
True.
where people will be happy to. And this is talent arbitrage
And
that
I'll tell you
there
another
are.
thing. I'll tell you another thing. There's a lot of what's happening is lot of small city, like big fishes in small cities, right? The big clients, the big litigants in small cities are hiring people, lawyers in Delhi, Bombay, at least the better trained
Right
ones or
now.
the
Correct.
experience, because they see lack of local talent, right? So I
Lack of
think
local talent.
huge, there's like a free flow of actual value which should go in the right place, right? So I've had people reaching out to me for their matters in Maharashtra, in small villages in Maharashtra. And this one fellow who I've been in touch with for the past 7, 8 months, he told me he went to the small village where his wife filed a false case against him. He spoke with every single lawyer in the district court over there, and every single one said that my entire fees for the entire matter will be 10,000 rupees. But he says that I mean, I'm happy to pay the 10,000 because I am supposed to be paying 20,000 a month to my wife as maintenance. So I'd love to forget about 10. I'll pay 10 times that money, but the lawyer should be halfway decent. And because he could not
Yeah.
find a half decent lawyer, he said he'll fight the case himself, well versed with the English language, decent I mean, if you explain to him things, he's able to understand. So I was consulting with him, preparing, vetting his documents, sitting over here, charging more money for a few hours of work, more money than the entire case's
Local
fees.
lawyer. Yes.
Yes, but still the man is much more happy with me, at least knowing that okay, the law of the land doesn't really change much when it comes to
Exactly. Exactly. Correct.
maintenance laws, or there are of course local
So
statutes, but
this
you've
is
got.
the other area that will grow big, Amish, DIY law, right? So DIY is do it yourself, and this is a big sector in United States, right? In
Right.
United States, there is like $1 billion industry where lawyers are not arguing the matters, but helping someone to argue their own employment matter, their own divorce matter, their own criminal law matters also sometimes. So helping
Right.
with maybe the drafting or providing the right templates, telling them, coaching them, and then they're going and arguing. So this is going to happen in India also, another trend that can happen here. But you gave a beautiful example of why value is, the thing that, that localization that people relied on. It's like haircut is local always. You can't get a haircut on the internet. You can't get a
Right.
haircut on the phone. Right till
Yeah.
now. Someday there will be a machine which can give you a perfect haircut. It will be so cheap you'll buy one. Right.
Yeah.
But as of now, it's local. So, but legal services was like haircut before, and
Yes.
that is going away with virtual hearings, with people's mindset opening up. That why should I hire a lawyer who I have to personally meet? Why can't I hire somebody without meeting? Because earlier clients weren't willing for that. Now they're willing because they
Absolutely.
are getting used to it, and especially the high value clients. So and that will be the case with Generation Z, the generation that is coming after us, who have grown, who are right now 13-year, 15-year-old, have grown up since the age of 3 with tablets and phones. Right? They
Yeah.
will not want to meet their lawyer. They'll say, "Can you do it online, please?" Right?
Yeah.
So I think that's a great trend that will change everything for the legal industry, and people are not seeing it. And we are very upbeat about this, that we are going to. So what is the problem? Why can't the lawyer in a small town do merger and acquisition work, or do cutting edge IP law work, or maybe do really good criminal litigation practice? Because they are not getting the training in their small town. There is nobody to teach them how to do it really well at world class level. But we are there, and we believe that this is the future, and there will be a whole lot of people who will be coming to us for this kind of training. And that's where we are very upbeat about changing the world, changing, right?
Yeah, fantastic, man. And we've had these conversations for the past several years, but I kind of, I mean, you've always been this kind of visionary, and you think very far ahead, and it at that moment feels very, very impossible. Back about 4 or 5 years ago, right? You talked about this very thing, right? Hiring people to teach your courses, and reaching out to students, lawyers and law students, reaching out to potential students in tier 2, tier 3 cities, which nobody would have ever imagined. You started doing back 4 or 5 years ago. You made it happen, and now, of course, because of the pandemic, now everyone has kind of rushed in that direction and understood the importance of online this thing. And in fact, when you talk about even the pandemic, right, when everyone else was in hibernation mode and thinking about how to conserve resources, fire as many people as possible, you guys were the ones who were, who started out daily, online this thing, online meetings and lectures, and you made so many things happen. I am such a big fan of, I've seen some of the Lawsikho lectures. I've learned so much from these incredible people, and I can only imagine, Ramanuj, what kind of, you know, like I'm for sure, like for you, because you've been doing it for the past several years, but for a person like me who has never done this, to get some top level senior advocate to join, right? And you've been bringing so many of them on the record, bringing people from other countries online, and talking about these things. Love the fact that you got Texas A&M University to Delhi, and talking about their courses and pitching themselves to
Now we have
potential.
a joint course with them. There's a the law course, that patent prosecution, IP
Yeah,
prosecution course we have launched jointly with Texas. So it's a certified course, certified by Texas A&M University, and hopefully more coming soon.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And these little kids who used to think that they are on top of the world, and they are, no one can budge them. They used to feel that a little certificate from their little, pen this thing, like a little sign on their certificate, means the world, right? Now they are left behind, and there are far better people who have now joined the cause, because they see what kind of potential it has, for the institution, for the individual. And I mean, I'm proud to say that I am friends with the guy who is at the forefront making it happen, man. Thank you so
Thank
much
you. Thanks
for,
for your
doing this.
generous words, Amish. Yeah.
I mean, whatever I say to be, I mean, whatever I say, words fall short for the appreciation that I have for you, man. Because one aspect, of course, is that all the things that you're doing for the profession, for advocacy in general. But apart from that, as an individual, right, I'll just take this moment out to literally thank you from the bottom of my heart here. You
No, thank
and
you also for really doing amazing legal work. You are an inspiration for a whole generation of lawyers. So many of my students look up to you for what you're doing. And we can teach, but because we are not practicing, we need examples like you to actually show it to people that look, this is who you want to be like, right? You don't have to copy the senior advocates of 20 years back. There is nothing a senior advocate who built his practice 30 years back, 20 years back can teach you today, because that was a different era, different world, right? But what Amish is doing now is fantastic. It's like history in motion, right? So you can see him doing what he's doing today. This is what you gotta do. Okay, fantastic job, fantastic online presence, really good stuff. Educating people on how to deal with their matters, how to look at the situation. It is so valuable, and you can see literally thousands and thousands of people watching his videos, learning from it, benefiting from it, and then he might be getting 5 clients out of those thousands of people, right? So it's a fraction of people who actually become clients, but so many more people benefit from that knowledge, and it's something that everyone should really try to do. Like, this is an untapped opportunity for lawyers today.
Yeah, and I plan on like tapping it to the fullest, like
Absolutely.
helping it become a better profession, making a decent living for myself, and like taking it in the next. And I'm proud to be associated with Lawsikho and you guys for life, and seeing what other crazy adventures we can have in the near future, man.
Absolutely, we'll have a lot. Yeah.
Thank you so much for being over here. It was an absolute pleasure having you. This is the first time I did a live broadcast, so I apologize to everybody who was there, who had to kind of wait for a few minutes, and I apologize again for the bad quality of the video. 100 things I have to apologize for, but thank you all for being over here. Thank you again, Ramanuj. I will be seeing all of you very, very soon.
Yeah, hope to do this again soon. Take care.
Yes,
Bye.
we'll absolutely be doing this. Right. Thank you.
Take
Bye,
care.
and bye to
Bye.
everybody. Bye, guys.